when he finally met Begum Akhtar, and he knew all about her, and her presence was like really influential in the way that she was also singing the ghazals of fairs.
But alongside that, and very closely linked was something else, was a musical tradition. The ghazal as sung, not only recited, and Begum Akhtar was a powerful presence in Shahid's life and work. And you have this lively account of how at one point Shahid and Salim Kidwai were sort of groupies of Begum Akhtar.
Right.
And that's delightful. So tell me a little about that. Can you, it's particularly in your chapter, The Cry of the Ghazal, and how the ghazal becomes viscerally and sensuously available to Shahid, not only in terms of its metrics and what a poet might do with it, but also everything that comes into the world of the ghazal when it's sung and it becomes a embodied performative experience.
Well, I mean, the case with Shahid was that he grew up listening to ghazals before he ever got to read a ghazal. So, I mean, there's a line in one of the interviews where he says that he discovered the ghazals in his father's voice, who would recite them, and at a very young age he'd started reacting to all of those ghazals and renditions by different artists. There is an incident. I mean, there's a story where when Shahid was in the US in the early '60s, where his father was completing his PhD, he played a Begum Akhtar ghazal, and that's when finally Shahid started recognizing, the beauty of it, the repetitions, the rhythm, the refrain, and I think in a lot of ways that's similar to. I mean, that experience is very similar to a lot of other writers and poets from India. I mean, personally, I discovered ghazals in the voice of my. My father would play them, and in his car, and for a long time, I didn't know that this was a poetic form that one could write in. I mean, this was when I must have been around like 10 or 11. But so when he finally met Begum Akhtar, and he knew all about her, and her presence was like really influential in the way that she was also singing the ghazals of fairs. So I think that music, and Shahid was someone who actually sat down and studied Begum Akhtar's ghazals, where he would wait and wait for the what do you call them, the pauses, and he learned so much about poetry just by listening to music, listening to ghazals, and so much of his poetry comes from music. In fact, like there are so many other songs where which he in fact like translated, and he's presented them in a very different way. So Begum Akhtar was a very big influence in Shahid, and he absolutely loved her. He said that he always wanted to be around her.
If you've enjoyed the conversation that you just heard, do subscribe to our channel for much more.